Yeah!
It's Josh Williams here, and it's time again for the One Man Podcast, episode number 3 for Wednesday, May 31st. Thanks for joining me again, guys. I really appreciate you being here. I want to start off this week by saying that I have decided I'm going to try something a little different with this podcast, really only starting by being completely upfront and honest with you guys. I remember when I first started stand-up comedy, I felt a little uncomfortable on stage. I had friends that always thought I was funny and things like that, so I knew I was funny, but something felt weird about performing. I know that one of the things new comedians run into is that they write jokes that they think the audience will think is funny and that they don't necessarily find funny themselves. It's pandering at that point, right? And the whole, of course you want to make people laugh, right? So sometimes it's just like, hey, will they think this is funny? Will they think that's funny? And I don't think I ever did that. When I first started, I would write jokes that I thought were funny, but when I was performing, something felt off about it. It felt odd and uncomfortable, unnatural. And I remember I was having lunch a few months into comedy with a friend, Julian Dion, who's another comedian, super funny guy. And I was telling him, I go, just something feels weird. You know, I don't feel like I'm pandering. I'm not telling jokes that I think the audience is going to think is funny. I'm talking about stuff I enjoy, but what feels, and he said to me, he goes, it's because you're not doing stand-up comedy, you're doing your impersonation of a stand-up comedian. And that really resonated with me because I was like, oh, I see what you're saying. So instead of just telling my jokes and trying to be natural, I'm like, oh, here's what comedians do and this and that. So I'm feeling right now like maybe I'm doing my impersonation of a podcast host. You know, what I think that everyone will enjoy and what I think that everyone's expecting. And I'm sorry for that because I don't want it to be fake or insincere. I want it to be something fun where we can all get together and connect with the dude that you guys know I am. And that's for people who know me. Anyone who doesn't, I want you to actually know who I am and not some sort of, you know, odd, goofy, bullshit, hacky, whatever it is. So I don't really feel like I've overly hacked it up, but I do know that I have felt odd when recording. So going forward, I'm going to try to just be more natural, try to let the funny out and not worry so much. You know, like, yeah, I'm going to say and because I'm not structured. You know, I'll write down my notes, you know, little talking points, but I'm not going to know exactly what direction it's going to go because I'm going to try to just either tell you what I'm thinking about it or just let it go. And if I because I don't know, well, fuck it. That's what I do when I talk. So buckle up, bitches. We're gonna get just a little more authentic is all I'm trying to say. So starting off this week, I just want to say that I was watching the Senators. I watched Game 7. Man, was that a great game. Ottawa has nothing to be ashamed of. They really did not go gentle. They made Pittsburgh work for every ounce of whatever they got from that series because Ottawa, you know, after that 7-0 loss, we were looking rough, but we came back. We got the 2-1 victory, and that first goal in that 2-1 game was so important because it just reminded them these guys are not invincible. You know, we can score on them. And then that early goal, I think in the third, that made it 2-1. What a great game. What a spectacular game. And then Game 7 was just unbelievable. The way Ottawa answered back after every goal that was scored. You know, they scored a goal, and then a minute later, Ottawa's back on the board, just tying the game up. So huge. And you know, it felt to me, just by watching it, that, you know, yeah, maybe I'm watching it through rose-colored glasses or whatever, but it felt like that whole game was like the Ottawa show. You know what I mean? Pittsburgh took advantage of a cute little, but Ottawa, I felt like Ottawa had just such good possession of the, I mean, then again, maybe not. Maybe I'm just nuts, but it was a great game to watch. Every time they scored, everybody in the bar, we all stood up and cheered together. So much fun. So much fun. They didn't give up a thing. They had a great season. Hold your heads high, Ottawa Senators. You guys did great. Can't wait to see you next year. And in terms of the Stanley Cup Finals, Nashville versus Pittsburgh, Nashville all the way. And not because I don't want Pittsburgh to win because they beat my team. It's because they've already won several times in the last, you know, decade plus. So fuck them. You know, I don't want to see winners win. I want to see an underdog who's never been to the dance before, right? Nashville's first time playing for the Cup. I want to see somebody who hasn't won it win. I want everyone to win at some point, and I think it's Nashville's turn. So good on them for making this the playoffs. and I hope they beat the Dirty Birds. I don't know if that's what people call the Penguins, but that's what I'm calling them. The two captains with the dirty little teen stashes. Looks like 15-year-olds trying to grow facial hair, Crosby and Malkin. Anyways, great game, Ottawa Senators. And Mark Mathot. So after losing early, before the weekend, and getting knocked out of the playoffs, Mark Mathot, the defenseman on the Senators, was at Absolute Comedy Sunday night taking in some laughs. So who knows if he was just trying to wait off the depression of the loss or just having a good night out in Ottawa. Just so you know, they're doing okay. The boys are home and they're already back to laughing, having a good time. So that was really fun. This last week for me, like I said, I watched the Sens game on Thursday night, and then I went to close the show at the Waterfront Gastropub in Carleton Place, which was really fun. It's a nice little bar pub sort of thing right on the water in Carleton Place. And I don't know what river it is or anything like that. I didn't Google it. I did take a picture on Instagram of just how nice it is. Like the patio and the water was so high up, like the water level was really, really high. Like you could stick your foot out through the gate next to your patio table and dip your toes in the water. So it was really nice, sort of look there. The show was great. The room was packed. It's the 50-year anniversary show of that gastropub. So they don't do it just once a year, but that show has been on for 5 years. So congratulations to Ken Strangway, who's been running that show. Has done a great job. Thank you very much for having me out. Thank you to everyone who came out. There was a table of ladies, I think in their early to late 40s, that were just having like a desperate housewives night out. They were very nice, very attentive. And I had some fun sort of teasing them. I just said, oh, look at this. We got a table of Helen, Stacy, and Agnes, and, Tracy's and what. I just gave them all a bunch of names. And then they got upset because they didn't get upset with me. They got upset with each other because one of them wanted to be Tracy and one of them wanted to be, Kathy, and one of them wanted to be Cindy. Like, it was just so funny that they were arguing over the names I gave them. So even making lemonade out of those lemons I chucked at them. So it was really funny after the show too. They walked up to our table and they're like, okay, we need to know which one of us is this, which one of us is that. And I found it so funny that I like when I poke fun and I tease and people enjoy it. They get that it's all in good fun and they hang on to it. There was one guy there with glasses and like salt and pepper hair who looked just like Bill Gates. And I was like, I think I was talking to people about their jobs and I was like, yeah, well, you're married to Bill Gates over here. And of course he's got nothing better to do. And they laughed so hard. And they came up to me after the show and the wife was like, I've been with him for 20 something years. And this is the first time it's ever occurred to me how much like Bill Gates he looks. She's like, that's never going away. I think that's one of my favorite things is, like I will have a show and I'll have fun and I'll joke around and, call somebody by a name, say they look like this or that. And then, and it's just funny to me because I might sometimes see these people again at a comedy club or another event, when I go back a year or two later, and they'll come up to me, they'll be like, we've been calling him that ever since. So that's kind of fun that you're able to sort of do something that's lasting with people. They remember your jokes. They remember something goofy you said. And I enjoy that. So that was a great time at the Waterfront Gastropub. Thank you, Ken Strangway, and thank you, the Gastropub, for putting on the event. Really appreciated being a part of it. And then, of course, Saturday night, I got to perform in Kinmount, Ontario, which, if you've never heard of it, neither have I. And that was a fun little trip up. It was 3.5 hours out of the city with no cell phone reception pretty much the vast majority of the trip until I was about 40 minutes outside of Ottawa. Again, did we get our reception back and little 2-minute pockets of it here and there, which was funny. It didn't even occur to me until I was sitting in the car with Jeff, saying, hey, look at these places out here. It's like, yeah, we're an hour outside of the city, but this is nice. You know what I mean? The property value is probably way cheaper. Look how nice there's mountains and there's, mountains, not really high at all, but hills and lakes and stuff. This is beautiful out here, and I go to take a picture of the scenery and send it and immediately see I have no service. I'm like, yeah, no, I could never live out here. I could never. Yeah. Like, first off, it's not even that I can't send something to social media. I don't really give a shit about that. I can live without that. It's how the fuck do I call an ambulance if my overweight ass has a fucking heart attack up here? And that's when my brain started thinking along that road. I'm like, we're going up to a place in the middle of the country, like where nobody, it's a small town or whatever. And I go, what happens if something bad happens? Like, there's no hospitals out there, clearly. So it's going to take a long time for an ambulance to get to me and create help. And I always go down these dark roads when I in my brain whenever I'm doing a show in the middle of nowhere. I always think about my own, just what happens to me, right? Because I don't want to end up in a small town that nobody's ever heard of, and that's where I die. You know what I'm saying? So like I kind of want to have a good time. I want to have a good time when I want to get home safe. And if something bad happens to me because I haven't taken care of myself, I want somebody who has to save me. I live in Ottawa. I'm a block away from the Civic Hospital. So if something bad happens to me here, I call the guys. They can run down the street, and save me. I mean, they wouldn't want to run down because they got like a baby hippopotamus to carry back to the hospital. So bring the ambulance. Gonna want something with torque to move me down there. But fact of the matter is, I'm safe. I got a signal and I got a source of hospital care very, very close by. So I feel safer here in the city than I would in the middle of nowhere. But it was nicer up there. And we did a show for the Kinmount Legion, which was a beautiful group of people that did show up. But sadly, there was only about 13 people who showed up to the show. And it was a very well-paying show. So, I mean, it doesn't take a math genius to look at the numbers and what we were getting paid to know that these very, very kind, sweet people probably lost a lot of money on this show. So we pulled out all the stops. We had a great time. Myself, Jeff McKay, and Denis Grignon. The people who were there had a wonderful time. They were so kind and gracious, and they talked about how much they enjoyed. They laughed so hard during the show. So we hope they really did enjoy themselves. But like I said, unfortunately, it does look like they lost money on this show. So my heart goes out to them. But yeah, we just tried to make sure that they had a good time while we were there. We performed in front of a bingo board. Also pictures on my my Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter of the bingo board that we performed in front of them for a bunch of senior citizens, which wasn't lost on me on how goofy that sort of looked. Looks like basically I've got the Better Call Saul job of just hanging out with seniors reading bingo balls. But that was a fun spot. And two of the people that were there actually own a place called the Kinmount, or what is it, the Tamarack Lodge, which was a really cool place. They got like it's like their house on their property, and of course they've got cabins on their property, an indoor fire pit, a small little event center room. Like it only holds about 50 people, but it was really, really cool. So they can do things there. They got a motorless lake, or I can't remember what they called it. It looks like a lake. So yeah, no motorboats, no jet skis or anything, but they have canoes and everything available to you. And they go, yeah, just grab one and paddle out. So they asked, I told them I was looking for something interesting to do with the girlfriend sometime this summer. And they had mentioned about their lodge, and I was like, okay. So when we were leaving, they offered Jeff and I, because it's about a 3.5 hour drive, they offered us a cabin to stay in if we didn't want to make the drive. But we both had things to do early morning. However, I did say, if they would be willing to show us their area, I would love to see it, just to consider coming back another time. And they did. The only thing was the bugs were really bad. So I was getting bit by mosquitoes and things like that. And it was pitch black. So they handed me something that looked like the size of a AA battery, and that was a flashlight. And I'm trying to see around in the dark. I'm following them who had real flashlights. And at one point, as we're walking down these trails to try to see the cabins, the husband says, hey, let me go first. And we were like, okay, why? And he goes, well, there's bears out here, which immediately scared the shit out of me, because out of the four of us, I am the slowest without argument. If it was a horse race, nobody would put money on me. My odds would have been astronomical. So I'm like, all right, well, if there's a bear that comes, I'm fucking dead. So, I mean, I kept going. I wasn't just going to freeze, but we kept walking. They showed us the cabins, the lake, and the inside of one of them was super beautiful. If I go, I'm definitely bringing, I think, bear mace, because we were talking with Jeff. I was talking with Jeff on the way back from the show, and I just said to him, like, dude, I don't know what I would have done if I saw a bear, because I know there's like all these different things you're supposed to play dead. I don't know if pissing yourself is one of the things you're supposed to do. I don't know why I feel like it is. I definitely know that's something I would do whether I wanted to or not if I saw a bear. But I think I remember reading one time that bears have like all these nerve endings in their nose. Like, and we all have nerve endings, but I mean like a ridiculously high concentrated amount of nerves and all of them in their nose, which is why the mace is so effective, like bear mace, because it's, messes their fucking head up because they got so much shit going on up there. So I remember that. And I said to Jeff, I go, I think if I ever end up in a situation of bear and it's coming at me, I go, I don't think I'm going to try to run, because I know I'm not going to outrun it. So it's just going to sink its claws and teeth into my back and I'm going to go down. I said, I think what I would do is just wind up and just punch it as hard as I fucking could in the nose, just because of all those nerve endings, hoping that maybe it's like a kick to the balls and it buys me some time to, slows it down, maybe makes it fuck off or something like that. And Jeff just started laughing and said, I would love to be there to see you try that theory. And I go, oh, fuck. If it's a theory, I would love to not be there. I'd love to delegate that to someone else. Hey, do me a favor. Can you go punch a bear in the nose and let me know? Wouldn't that be great, though, if we just had people we could delegate to do all the different things that we theorize? Like, I wonder what it would be like to do that. And then you have someone that could do that. That would be a wonderful use for the overpopulation, is just theory testers, right? Why can't we use people as guinea pigs, right? But just let... that would be fun to me anyways. But so, yeah. I think I'm going to try this place, the Tamarack Lodge, out sometime this summer. Just power down, take the lady, right? Crystal and I can go up there, have a weekend with no internet, just read some books, do some kayaking, canoeing. Kayaking scares me because I think you have to get into it one way. You slide your feet in and you need to like slip the thing around your back, the paddle, pull yourself out a certain way. If you go underwater, you have to like, I can't even remember the name of the roll you're supposed to do to get back up. So yeah, I could just see my legs swelling as I'm in this thing, and then I try to get myself out and I can't because I'm fucking stuck. Yeah, nightmare. Canoeing is what I'd like to do. Canoeing, I fall out of the boat and I can swim right back up. No problem. I'm not attached to it in any way whatsoever. So do some canoeing, some indoor fire. Every one of these cabins has their own barbecue. So I think it'd be great. And not too far from the Tamarack Lodge near Kinmount where we're doing the show is this place called the Highland Theatre, which Denis Grignon was telling me about. Apparently a guy wanted to open up a movie theater in town, and they said that there's no zoning for it anywhere. So he said, come on, there's got to be a loophole or something like that. And they said, well, if you build it, onto your house, then I guess that would technically work. And so the guy did. He built a movie theater attached to his house. And then I think since then he's expanded to 3 more theaters. So he's got a total of 4 movie theaters attached to his house. And he's got all this old movie, paraphernalia and cameras and projectors and things like that. So it's like a museum, and then 4 theaters. And apparently each theater has its own theme and style. Like one's vaudeville and one's, like old Victorian. I could be wrong with the Victorian one, but the idea is it's like 4 different theaters and a bunch of museum stuff. So I think it'd be great to go up for a weekend and spend some time in a cabin and do some canoeing. Maybe take one night out and check a look at this, this special theater. And it plays all the current stuff. Like it's not like a theater that's, they play the old shit. I mean, they play current movies. It's just in a super sort of unique place. So I think I'm going to do that this summer with the lady. And, I'll take some pictures and maybe record an episode in some cabin, talk about the fucking bear shit that's out there and try not to get eaten. I think that'd be something fun to do. I'm looking forward to it anyway. So yeah, that's a thing. I mentioned living close to the hospital when I was trying to record earlier. The fucking helicopter from the hospital flew over the house and all you could hear is blah, 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 the blades going. And it got me wondering about the whole, hospital helicopters. At first I thought they would just like fly people in, like someone gets hurt in a mountain or something like that. They fly them up and fly them in. But I got a friend, Peter, who's a paramedic, and I think I'm gonna ask Pete what that's all about. I sent him a message earlier and going, what's with that helicopter shit? Like, you know what I mean? I think of the old shows where it's like the person's dangling from the helicopter on the gurney or whatever, and I'm like, that's not what it is. The person's in the helicopter. So I reached out to Pete and I'm like, what is that? What's with the helicopter thing? You know what I mean? Because I'm like, someone said a long time it's for patient transfers, and I'm like, well, you'd think that a patient, if they're coming from like the General to the Civic, they'd just get in the back of an ambulance and they'd move them, right? Or if they're coming from something like, if they're coming from really far, you'd think take them to a closer hospital. But apparently it's a completely different service for something called Orange, where those people are like the high end doctors. Apparently it's like a doctor in the helicopter, who's allowed to give more intense care. Because I guess like paramedics and doctors, from my understanding, all have different levels of care that they're allowed to give. Like some paramedics can't give you certain medicines, which is kind of fucked up to me. I mean, obviously you don't want them administering the wrong thing, but at the same time, like imagine you're in in a back of an ambulance and you need a certain drug that's going to save your life. And the guy's like, man, sorry, I I haven't graduated that class yet. I'm not licensed to give you that one. So let's hope my driver's license is better than my medical license. We get there before you die. I don't know. That just scares me, the idea that something that maybe needed to save my life is going to be not available to me because the fucking guy, I don't know. See, but this is back to me worried that somebody else is going to do a better job than me of just taking care of myself. What the fuck, right? Passing the buck like every person does. So anyways, yeah, I heard the helicopter and it got me fascinated. And apparently there's they have these high level doctors on these fucking helicopters for patients when they move them from place to place, which almost made me think that it's like some doctors are at such a level that they don't even stick around at the hospital or ride an ambulance. They got their own fucking private helicopter to ride with somebody from a hospital to another hospital or something like that. I don't know. It's interesting. I'd like to know more. I always ask Peter questions about paramedic stuff, usually like the situations he's ended in, but he told me something interesting a while back and I think this is what goes with my whole fear of like, how long will it take an ambulance to get to me? I'm really fucking focused on my mortality lately. Maybe I'll delve into that as I figure out why. But, he told me that like once somebody starts to arrest, it's pretty much over. He goes, I mean, I can't remember the numbers. I'm going to paraphrase what I remember. Please know that it's not exact. I think he told me one time that like once somebody starts to arrest, they almost never come back. I think like he's like out of the entire time that he's been a paramedic, he thinks he's had 2 people that have gone into arrest that he's actually been able to get vitals back on, and that's just vitals back, and then they just drop them off at the hospital, and then the doctors take over. He goes, yeah, a lot of times I have no idea whether or not they died afterwards or if they were able to stabilize them and save them, which is fucked up. You know what I mean? Like, and it's not fucked up. It's just that's like. He's out there trying to save lives. But to me, I was just like, okay, so what you're saying is if I go into cardiac arrest and there's no one, before someone can look at me or whatever, the odds are I'm not coming back. So I think that's why I'm worried about, can you imagine if I just put that in my rider all of a sudden doing is I'm not doing a gig anywhere where there isn't an ambulance. I don't know if guys like John Panette or, any of the bigger comedians ever had that in their rider. Just like, you have to have like an ambulance. Like I've gone to shows and stuff where you see an ambulance there and, people always go, oh, it's in case, something happens. Well, of course it's in case something happens, but it'd be funny if those ambulances were there because of the acts. They're like, they just want to make sure there's someone there to fucking zap them if they go down too quick. Meatloaf's probably got one. He went down on stage. But I can't remember if he's just really tired or whatever it was. But he went down last year, I think, on stage. So like that's not spring chickens anymore. That's I don't know. Fuck. I don't know what you guys talk. What the fuck scares the shit out of you? What goofy things do you think of when you're just trying to be you on a daily basis? That's one that fucking scares me. Right? Every slight little pain I feel or something makes me feel like it's the end. That's the fucking end. This is it right now. A little twinge in my arm, and I start to panic, and then I burp 2 minutes later and realize it was just gas, but still scares the shit out of me, right? And a lot of the times I don't want to be in a bad place when that happens. I immediately, like, that's all I think of is at first I think I'm going to die, and then I take a look around my surroundings and go, oh, for the love of God, not here. Like, I'm recording this podcast Tuesday afternoon, and I have to be at Domino's in a few hours. Not in a few hours. I have to be at Domino's in like 40 minutes. So I'm hoping that this podcast ends and then I get to put on that uniform that just really makes me question every decision I've ever made in my life. I work there 1 day a week and that's still way too much. I put on a matching hat and shirt, right? Always a confidence booster, right? That breathes very well, right? They give you those fucking 3 different kinds of plastics they mix together and then make clothing out of them. It's really like cloth is the root word of that, and it's made out of plastic. Put that on, sweat. Smell terrible, right? And then you take a sign and you put it on your car so it looks like you and your car wearing matching hats. Another big boost of pride. And, oh, fuck, I had a guy last week say to me, I was there and I was working the ovens. And I'm a delivery guy, and I'm inside working the ovens and working the cash for whatever reason. And one guy says, like, hey, man, way to go, like taking the reign and just taking initiative and stuff. I go, yeah, thanks. My parents are real proud. Like my skill at Domino's is what I hang my fucking, So yeah, I got to do that. Not looking forward to doing that. That's one of those places I don't want to die. You know what I mean? Go to just the worst building on a Domino's order and just, that's where my heart explodes and they just fall me face down. Fucking hot wings and and Meat Lovers Pizza. Fuck. It's funny and just depressing at the same time. So, yeah, that's what I'm doing with the rest of my day while you guys are listening to this. And, yeah, I'll talk about it next time maybe. Or maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just repress it like I do every week. So, that's that. Could be worse. Could be crossing guard, eh? I posted that picture last week of fucking crossing guards. Those are people, right? They irritate me. It makes no sense. You know, there's a stop sign 3 feet away from you. 3 fucking feet away from you, right? Like, what is it that a crossing guard is doing that the stop sign is not? We all know the rules, right? We stop, wait for someone to go by. If there's someone that needs to go by, we stop. That's why we stop, is to see if someone needs to cross the street. You know what I mean? You standing there 2 feet shorter than the fucking stop sign, holding up your stick with the stop sign on it is not a game changer. You know? We already know the fucking rules. So it's very surprising to me that people are still doing it for free. Fuck, if you got paid for it, sure. But this is like reverse ATMs and self-checkouts. You know what I'm saying? Like if there was a time with no stop signs and just a bunch of old people walking around holding the fucking things up, I go, yeah. And then all of a sudden they come and they put the stop signs, they go, holy shit, that post is doing it for me. This is amazing. Right? Or well, maybe not. Maybe they feel the same way as the bankers do. The fucking post took my job. But either way, we don't need both. Right? Like, what do they think? What do they think is going on when we get to that sign? That's the real thing that bothers me. They're at peak times. These are not go-getters. Like, I always look at the situation. I go, why do you think that you're important? You know, like, do you think that like we were running down kids, but now all of a sudden that you're here, that's going to change? Like, we wouldn't run you over? You know, like, what is changing about their being there? That's what I want to ask the fucking parent-teacher committee that's like, we have to have crossing guards. Why? All these kids were getting run down and all of a sudden they're not because they put an old person there? If you had a choice between running down, you're in a situation your brakes give out or something, I don't know. Just follow me through my insanity that your car's going down a hill and there's an old person sitting on one side and a kid sitting on the other. Where are you veering your vehicle towards if you had no choice, right? You're going to hit the fucking old person. The kid's still got her whole life in front of him, right? So what does this old person think? This old person, I don't give a fuck. They're an old person. I'm sorry. You're an old person. All right. I love you. Maybe, but you're old. And so I'm sorry. Senior citizen. Okay. The point is that if you were the kind of person who's going to run down a kid with their whole life in front of them, why would you stop for an old person who's fucking at the end? You know what I mean? And we're not talking at the end of a fucking victorious life, right? These are not captains of industry. The people who were successful are not volunteering the best times of day for nothing. Right? They're out doing something. They're out walking the malls in the morning and feeding the ducks in the afternoon. They're not fucking putting on the stupidest looking uniform and going and replicating the sign next to them. Jesus Christ. I don't know. It seems absolutely ridiculous. Right? When the traffic lights go out, you know, they don't even let people. I'm all over the fucking map because I'm getting frustrated with these guys. When a traffic light breaks, the police don't constantly stop traffic every time one new person walks up to the intersection, right? They take turns and they direct traffic. They let things bunch up. They do one side for a bit, then they do this. These crossing guards will come running up and stop every single car because there's another kid waiting. Let them bunch up, do a group at once. They're literally every 5 feet apart, there's another kid. So just let them bunch up a little bit. Let's move the traffic line. I think that's what it does too, is they congest the traffic so much. That and school buses. I hate getting stuck behind school buses too. In fact, there was someone at the Waterfront Gastropub show on Friday that was a school bus driver, and I was talking to them. The whole table was like auxiliary school employees. Like, we work for the school board, and I'm like, oh, cool. What do you teach? Are you principals? And they're like, oh, we're bus drivers and maintenance workers, and we groundskeepers. I was like, oh, that's so funny. You guys are like the B-reel of the employees. They're like, oh, we don't teach anything. And in fact, we just go in every single day looking at the halls and going, man, if I had a chance to pay attention a lot more back when I was going here, you know, that things could have turned out differently. So now every day I come in as a reminder, just I fucking threw it away, you know, just every single day, driving the bus, mowing the lawn, scrubbing the toilets, waiting for that moment. I think maybe that's what the crossing guards are, is they're just like the maintenance workers and the groundskeepers and everything like that, just waiting for that opportunity to just go, just give me the vest and let me go out and see the sunshine, right? Hold a stop sign. Let me call the shots for 5 fucking minutes. You know what I mean? Every day someone telling me to plunge a toilet or fucking, go scoop the dog shit off the football field, right? Give me the sign. I'm going to call the fucking shots. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I just solved crossing guards. So that's, I don't know. That's a thing, right? They just piss me off because they slow me down. Make me wait for everything. I hope this episode's a little more fun, guys. I'm pretty excited. Something that's coming up in the not too distant future. Canada Day, right? Canada's 150th birthday. Oh, Jesus. Big stretch here. Something coming up for Canada's 150th birthday is a show at Absolute Comedy on Canada Day, 2 p.m. It's the SiriusXM and Canada Day sort of amalgamation here, where they're doing shows in every major city across Canada, and they've asked yours truly to be a part of it. So I'm very excited. I'm just going to plug that show real quick on Canada Day at 2 p.m. at Absolute Comedy in Ottawa. We have host Nick Burden is going to be hosting the show, and we've got 2 features, Kamar Hargadon and Heather Hurst. And the show is going to be co-headlined by Jim McNally and myself. So if you're in Ottawa, you're looking for something fun to do between 2 o'clock and 3:30, tickets are $10. I'm going to give away some tickets to that show here on the podcast. So I will say, if you guys are interested in some tickets, some free tickets to that show, the email address is contact@onemanpodcast.com. Send me an email. Let me know if you're interested, and I'll get you a couple free tickets for that show. Anyone who's interested in coming, it's a $10 ticket on Canada Day. The bar will be open, so you can start what will be, I'm sure, a very drunk day for a lot of people. You can start it off right with some laughs, get those fucking endorphins and dopamine flowing, and come to Absolute Comedy for our SiriusXM Canada Day show. So I'll give more details about that as I have them. Once the posters and everything like that are done, I'll push them out. But I'm really looking forward to that. That's going to be a lot of fun. And I got a friend, Mark, who I used to work with at Future Shop. Mark has he sent in a question this week, and not a question, I apologize. He just sent me in a story, and I'm going to read that to you guys a little bit later on. But he was talking about the nature of it. We were talking on Facebook, and he was saying the nature of what he's doing is because he's sort of like, it's just like a bucket list item for him. And I thought, you know what, I might tell you guys a little bit about my bucket list, maybe something that we could do on a regular basis. I just had my head tilted down, and I can hear myself a lot better, so I hope I wasn't too quiet there. But I got 3 bucket list things that I'm going to share with you guys, and I thought it might be fun to do a bucket list. Like, one of them is career, one of them is personal, and then maybe one of them is like romantic relationship kind of thing. So I'll start by saying, for my career, I want to do the Just for Laughs Festival. I have performed for JFL 42 in Toronto, but it's not the same thing as doing the festival in Montreal. That's the flagship one. That's something to explain to you guys. I think I said earlier, I don't know if I really told you guys the story of my origin in comedy, and I'm not going to do that now, but I will say that my mom's been my biggest fan since I was young. I never wanted to be a comic. I did mention that in the George Carlin story. I never had any intention of being a comedian. Never wanted. I loved stand-up comedy, but I never had any intention of being a comic. And my mom used to always say to me when I was young is, well, one day I'd love it if you were a stand-up comedian. You should be a comedian. You're so funny, blah, blah, blah. And I just thought it was that supportive parent stuff, and I thanks, but it's never going to happen. And I remember she used to say, this is no bullshit. She used to say to my teachers when I was a little kid, well, not just when I was a little kid, but starting from when I was a little kid in school, like when I got in trouble and she'd have to go see the teachers or the principal, she would say, well, hey, if he grows up one day to be a famous comedian, will that make any of this worthwhile? And they'd be like, no. So, and she always tells that story. That's the only reason I know that is I remember when I was a kid, she always tells that story. Well, if I tell him to grow up, if he grows up to be a comedian, blah, blah, blah. So, so the reason I want to do Just for Laughs is a lot of comedians are under the impression you do Just for Laughs and that launches your career, and then it's all downhill from there. You get discovered, and I have none of those misconceptions. Just for Laughs is an amazing comedy festival, and it's a huge staple. It's the biggest comedy festival in the world. But throughout my life, I have disappointed a lot in terms of the family. Not deliberately, just we all learn different ways and stuff, but I've had a lot of, I dropped out of high school. I worked a bunch of shitty jobs. I screwed up good opportunities. So the thing is, my mom's always been a huge fan of my comedy. And to do the Just for Laughs festival, just to perform at it and to come back with those passes with my name on them kind of thing. That's like the equivalent of becoming a doctor or lawyer for my mom. So the reason that's to perform at the Just for Laughs festival, I can live and die and never perform there, and that will not fulfill me as a human being. But it's just kind of like to do that festival is that diploma. It's not a, oh, this is the end, I've made it. It's more of a, okay, well, here's your recognition that, you've graduated. You are a comedian, in her eyes, and now go do something with it. So that's the diploma that's on my bucket list. I would love to perform at the Just for Laughs festival and earn that comedy diploma, if you will, at least in her eyes. So that's my career bucket list thing. I do have a personal one, and we all have several, but one of the ones I want to do is I want to go skydiving. I am currently too heavy to go skydiving because obviously I have to start doing a tandem jump with someone else. I'm too heavy for that because if they strap another human being to me and that person are going to die. But the what do you call it? The parachute can't support the weight. So I got to lose some weight, which sort of goes along with my other goals of losing weight and things like that. But I would love to go skydiving. I think because of, I was saying earlier, with like all the issues with my mortality being a thing in my mind, that I'd like to sort of just do that, to just sort of feel that and that fear and everything like that. I think it'd be fun. So skydiving is definitely on my bucket list. And then finally on my romantic bucket list, my relationship one, is there's something called Dinner in the Sky. And I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but I saw a video for it a long time ago. And it's basically, I think it's like, it looks like a giant round boardroom table, and in the middle, you've got cooks and stuff. So there's cooking surfaces and waiters and a guy who plays the violin. And then everyone sits around the outside of it, but you're like basically dangling over nothing. It's a big crane that lifts this table and all the chairs. So it's kind of like a ride, right? You're strapped in like you would be at a ride, but you're sitting at a table effectively. This crane lifts you up to 150 feet in the air. And then you're just having dinner in the sky. You're just dangling. Like it looks great. So that's something I thought would be a real romantic thing, right? How many couples get to say that they've done that? So I started looking for it the other day when I was thinking up this bucket list, and it's going to be in Ottawa for Canada's 150th. So, it's super expensive. It's $300 a person to do dinner and $169 just to do cocktails. Cocktails, half an hour. You go up, have a $169 cocktail, maybe two, and then come back down. And it's 30 minutes. The cocktail one, it's an hour for the dinner. So I'm going to see if I can put together the money to do that. I looked at some of the dates already to see if I could get tickets, and they're already, tons of them are sold out. So they didn't say the location. They didn't say what's on the menu, but it's a bucket list thing. I know they do this in other parts of the world year round. So if I miss it for Canada's 150th, no biggie. I can go somewhere else at some point in my life, but that's definitely something that I'd like to do with the lady, is have dinner in the sky. She's a little afraid of heights, and I'll be honest, if I could look down and see nothing underneath me, that'd freak me out too. But it's still something really cool. It's one of those things that not everyone does, and I'd love to be able to say that I did it. So that's my bucket list stuff. If you guys want to send in your bucket list items and things like that, if you got like I said, a career, personal, and relationship or romantic bucket list thing you'd like to do, send it in, right? Contact at onemanpodcast.com. Yay. So I think I will take a second now and just do the advertisement for the week. We're at the 38-minute mark, so I'm going to go ahead and do this first sponsor, which is Absolute Comedy. Absolute Comedy is the best live stand-up comedy from across North America, with locations in Kingston, Toronto, and Ottawa, Ontario. These comedians have been featured on Just for Laughs, Netflix, Comedy Central, CBC's The Debaters, Jimmy Kimmel Live, Conan, The Comedy Network, and much, much more. Go to absolutecomedy.ca to see this week's lineup. Planning a night out is easy with dinner and show packages available at all locations. Live comedy is a great choice if you're organizing a celebration, fundraiser, company outing, or corporate event. Want the show brought to you? They'll send comedians to your venue with performances tailored to your event, creating a night of laughs your guests will love and won't soon forget. So for showtimes, ticket prices, gift certificates, special shows, and more, head to absolutecomedy.ca. Again, that's absolutecomedy.ca for the best live stand-up comedy from across North America. Hey, how about that, huh? Little recording for you guys, not making you sit through all that Absolute Comedy nonsense. Just a nice little commercial. And now we're back to the chatting, right? See, that's a little different. We're trying, make this thing a little bit better for you so you don't have to sit through all that crap that you normally do. So it's a little improvement, guys. I'm trying to make it a little bit better for you. I made it through another chapter of George Carlin's Last Words. Still loving this book. And if hopefully the week will calm down a little bit and I'll get to read a little bit more. But I read how he met his wife Brenda, and yeah, so I'm still reading that. I got Crave TV again, so I'm going to start watching some of my shows. I started watching the 19th season of South Park again, so that's what I've been falling asleep to lately. And I got to read on my trip to Kinmount, Ontario with Jeff on Saturday. I got to read more of my bathroom readers. So I'm going to read this week's version of Uncle John's Bathroom Readers. And this edition actually is in honor of the Stanley Cup playoffs and, of course, my Sens playing their last game. This one is from Uncle John's Bathroom Readers. Shoots and Scores is the name of it. And this one's called The Name Game. All right, so it says, want to know why you call your favorite hockey team the Stars, the Flames, or the Devils? Read on. The Calgary Flames inherited their name from the Atlanta Flames when the franchise was sold and relocated to Alberta in 1980. The original team was named after the fire that General William T. Sherman's Union troops set in Atlanta as they blazed their way across the South at the end of the U.S. Civil War. The name of the Columbus Blue Jackets was inspired by Civil War history. It's a reference to the blue uniforms worn by Union soldiers and celebrate the fact that Ohio contributed more soldiers per capita to the war than any other state in the Union. Ohio is also the home state of pyromaniacal General Sherman from the above one there. So the Dallas Stars were not so named because Texas is the Lone Star State. The franchise was originally the Minnesota North Stars, named for Minnesota's state motto, L'Étoile du Nord, French for Star of the North, of course. The team moved to Dallas in 1993, but left the north part behind. The Nashville Predators, go Preds, win the cup. The Nashville Predators are named in tribute to the saber-toothed cat bones that were found in 1971 in downtown Nashville. Where's that? I just lost my place here on the thing. Downtown Nashville, when workmen were excavating land for the construction of a new bank. So there you go. They found fucking saber-toothed tiger bones. It's kind of a cool find, actually. And again, in downtown Nashville, right? A lot of cougar bones in Nashville, too. You know what I'm saying? When the NHL's Colorado Rockies relocated to New Jersey in 1982, they renamed themselves the New Jersey Devils for a mysterious evil winged creature called the Jersey Devil that legend says roamed the Pine Barrens of southern New Jersey in the 18th, 19th, and early 20th centuries. Yeah, there's like a bunch of, like mysteries and seeking the truth discovery shows and shit like that based on the New Jersey Devil. In fact, the Jersey Devil. They actually had like an X-Files episode about it too, looking for the Jersey Devil. So, yeah, there's all sorts of goofy things about that. And finally, guys, the inspiration for the name Tampa Bay Lightning actually comes from weather. According to St. Petersburg Times, Tampa is the lightning capital of the nation. In June 1993, at the conclusion of the franchise's first NHL season, more than 21,000 cloud-to-ground lightning flashes occurred within a 50-mile radius of Tampa Bay. So there we go. So Calgary Flames, Columbus Blue Jackets, Dallas Stars, Nashville Predators, New Jersey Devils, and Tampa Bay Lightning. That is where those names come from. So that concludes this week's edition of Uncle John's Bathroom Readers from Shoots and Scores. So we're making it faster, guys. See? A little bit of trivia for you, a little bit of fucking advertisement, right? Some exciting things to look forward to. I'm going to take a second and just mention that I got, like I said before, sorry, not mention, but I'm going to take a second and read Mark's email that he sent me because, as I mentioned from the bucket list thing, he was mentioning something that he knows I'll enjoy. I'm a big fan of these. I don't want to give it away too early, but I'll read you his email, letting you know something he's doing this summer that I think I too would like to do. So this is an email in from Mark. Mark said, I had drinks with a friend whom I haven't seen for a number of years, about a month ago. The conversation goes from what you've been up to upcoming plans. I tell him about a trip out east that we are planning, and on the way home we're planning to do some sightseeing stops in Quebec. He mentions to me that his family will be in the Saguenay at the same time. I don't know what the Saguenay is, or Saguenay. Yeah, I hope I'm saying it right. He is aware of some adventures, or some of my adventures. Aerial acrobatics, paramotor, swimming with sharks, CN Tower edge walks, etc., which, of course, Mark, I'd be interested in knowing more about that stuff. Paramotor, that almost sounds to me like fucking paramedics who are showing up on ATVs and stuff like that. Aerial acrobatics, also interesting. Swimming with sharks, I'd love to see some pictures. And, of course, CN Tower edge walk. It sounds like that guy walking between the two buildings. the Twin Towers. But anyways, so yeah, he's aware of some of my adventures and suggests doing an encounter with white wolves. I did some research and came across this website, and the links here I took a peek too. And he goes, yeah. So I looked at the website and it shows like white wolves and gray wolves and things like that. You can go and actually fucking hang out with wolves. And he says, my friends think it would be funny and a bit different to do it with sheep onesies on. I'm up for almost anything. So yeah, dude, that sounds really cool. And I did look into it since you sent me that. And I'm a huge fan of wolves. I got like all sorts of wolf pictures and little wolf like knickknacks and statues and things like that. So I really like the wolf as an animal. And it would be really, really cool to actually see some, like, go hang out with some real, like, hang out, like, we're gonna have beers. But just to see, like, because they were saying that you get to, like, pet them, you're out there for, like, 40 minutes or something like that, and they have to drive around and stuff to get the wolves to approach and stuff like that. But they're used to people, but they are still wild animals. They're not, like, in a cage. It's not like a zoo where you get to go and, you know, feed them with pellets like a petting zoo, you know? So I think that's fucking super cool. I would love to see real wolves and be able to get up and close to them. So I appreciate you sending that in, buddy. Thank you so much. That was a lot of fun to know that's the thing. That's what sparked my bucket list thing, right, when we were talking. So for those people who are like, what the fuck? Yeah, that's where the bucket list came from. He was saying that was something cool to go see some wolves and do that. And I think that's going to be on my bucket list too. You know, wolves are beautiful animals, and they're getting pushed back too. Like their habitat's always, every time we got to build a new strip mall, they push the fucking wolves further back, mow down a bunch of trees. There's a coyote in Ottawa at the experimental farm, which to anyone who doesn't know what an experimental farm is, it's like where they test, you know, different plants and stuff. They're just big open fields near my folks' place where they take my dog and their dog every day for walks. And my dad was showing me this last weekend at a barbecue. He's showing me footage on his JVC recorder of this fucking coyote wandering. And this is like right in the middle of the city. This is not out in the middle of the country for anyone who doesn't know Ottawa. This is right in the middle of the city. Just this 2-3 big block areas where it's just farm field and they're making shit. And there's a coyote right in the middle of it. So it's clearly living somewhere in that area. There's very few areas in the experimental farm where there's trees or somewhere for it to hide. So this thing has wandered a little far and is now stuck in this area because my dad's been seeing it every day. He's finally got to the point where he had to record it. So, you know, I always feel bad when I see animals, you know, standing in the middle of the road. You know, the further south area of Ottawa, Barrhaven there, I've seen coyotes and stuff standing in the road. And it's just like, get out of here, man. You're going to get fucking hit. You know, I know you used to live here up until a month ago when they mowed everything down, but I don't know, whatever. I love animals, guys. Sorry. As soon as you get me on animals, you start just going off on it. I feel bad for them. It sucks to be an animal. Anyways, let's go back to some positivity here, right? I'm really excited for this weekend. I don't have any shows as of yet, but I'm really, really looking forward to Saturday night because my fucking intro music guys here, Monkey Junk. I don't even know what to call them. I'm like my opening intro band. Monkey Junk is playing at Westfest this weekend. Saturday night, I am going to see Monkey Junk, see them perform live at Westfest. Westfest used to take place in Westboro, and now it's at La Rush Park, which is sort of in Westboro, like Mechanicsville. And I don't know if that's just where the music, like that's a big enough area to get a bunch of people together to play music, or if it's still happening in Westboro with like all this stuff. It used to be a spot where like all the businesses would shut down the street and then there'd be outdoor patios and beer and drinks and stuff like that, which seemed like a lot of fun. I went there a few times and it was great, but now they've got the, Monkey Junk coming. Oh, I can't wait to see them. I'm really, really excited for that. So I'm going to take the lady and we're going to go see Monkey Junk perform, snap some pictures with Steve. So that's June 3rd, guys. If you're in Ottawa, and it's my understanding it's free. It's free. So if any of you have enjoyed some of the music you've heard here, check out Westfest and Monkey Junk. They are headlining Saturday, June 3rd. I will be there, and I'm going to see if I can steal Steve away for a little bit, and we'll have a chat and see what Monkey Junk's up to, and I'll do some plugging for them because as always, I'm grateful for them letting me use their music. So I think it's a little bit of a quiet week in that. I hope that this one was a little more entertaining. We're going to build, right, guys? We're going to build. We're going to come back. We're going to make this thing fun. We're going to grow together. As always, I appreciate you guys listening to the One Man Podcast. Feel free to send in your questions, your stories. Like I said, you guys got bucket lists. You got something you're working on. You got something you want to ask. If there's anything I missed out, hey, like I said, there's SiriusXM tickets to give away on Canada Day. So if you want some of those, all this stuff email contact@onemanpodcast.com. If you guys aren't following us on social media, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, the YouTube page. All of it is One Man Podcast. So have a look for that. And I'd love to have you, follow. You guys will get the pictures as the week goes on. I try to post stuff letting you know what I will be talking about and just fun things that I see, that there's some talking points or whatever. So as always, thank you for listening, guys. I really look forward to having something even new and fresher for you next week as this thing continues to build. Thanks for being here with me.